All right, so Meghan McCain, or as she would more likely refer to herself, John McCain's daughter, went on Meet the Press on MSNBC the other day to basically trash the $3.5 trillion bill and defend corporate ghouls Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema for trying to sabotage this bill. And I'm going to show you this clip because basically every single thing that she says in this clip is verifiably at surface level, completely inaccurate and verifiably wrong. And yet, this is exactly what even a supposed left-wing network like MSNBC is putting on their show in the week that we are going to be able to find out exactly how this negotiation process is going to unfold. So with absolutely no checks and no corrections on the factual errors, here is Meghan McCain completely lying about the situation with Joe Manchin, Kyrsten Sinema, and this $3.5 trillion bill.
I want you to play a reporter here for us because you may have the best sense of Kyrsten Sinema. I know you have a pretty good personal relationship. That's the frustration Democrats say. They don't know what Joe Manchin wants. They don't know what his bottom line is, and they don't know what her bottom line is. How would you describe it?
Well, I mean, politically in Arizona, I think that's why people like her so much. Just anecdotally, conservatives in my life really like her because, you know, she's holding the line for conservatives in a lot of ways.
Just pause already because she's already stated something that's completely factually wrong. She's not doing well among the overall Arizona populace. In fact, her poll numbers have tanked relative to the other Democratic senator in Arizona. So her polling numbers have absolutely tanked in the wake of all of this. So I don't even know what she's talking about. Yes, she's obviously more popular among conservatives because, as she just said, she is effectively operating as a conservative.
The question I always have is, for people like Joe Manchin, if it's not him, it's going to be a Republican. So this distaste and this, outward hostility towards moderates in the Democratic Party surprises me. I also was shocked by seeing Senator Booker talking about sort of openly this distrust between progressives and moderates. How the Democratic Party ultimately threads the needle, I don't know. But I will say that President Biden ran on being a moderate, as you said. He ran and won with the help of independent, centrists, Trump-wary Republicans, and he is not governing as one. The Build Back Better agenda is the most progressive, modern agenda of all time, up to $5 trillion, and it's not polling well. So I think I'm just confused as why they're doubling down on something that is cratering in the polls right now.
All right, well, I'll answer that question for you because it's really easy. They're doubling down on it because it's not tanking in the polls. She just completely fucking made that up, okay? Everything that she just said was a complete and utter lie. The only thing that she said that was even somewhat accurate was pointing out that Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin are acting as Republicans. And, she brings up Joe Manchin and says, well, if it wasn't going to be him, then it would be a Republican filling his seat. So what? So what? I know that he's pretending to try to go along with this $3.5 trillion bill, but functionally, what is the difference between Joe Manchin, Kyrsten Sinema, and the Republican Party? They agree with them on the overwhelming majority of the actual policies, right? And obviously, they're trying right now to completely sabotage and undercut and water down this $3.5 trillion bill at the behest of their corporate donors to water down climate aspects and to serve the interests of Big Pharma by not allowing our government to negotiate drug prices and lower drug prices for the American people. So exactly what is she even talking about here? First of all, the policies that are in the $3.5 trillion bill, which I can put up on screen right over here, over Meghan McCain's face, hopefully. These policies are overwhelmingly supported by the American people. They are all overwhelmingly popular among the American people. So I don't know what the fuck she's talking about here, but we can go and look at actual polling data here. Okay, so this is a very recent polling here. So 66% of Americans, including 61% of those independents and even some Republicans that she was crediting there with giving Joe Biden the election, which is also ahistorical because the people who actually ended up delivering the election for Joe Biden and bailing him out in the end were black voters. They were overwhelmingly progressive voters. Bernie Sanders was the guy who was campaigning harder than anybody, as he even did for Hillary Clinton back in the day. He was the guy who was campaigning harder than anybody for Joe Biden. So no credit to progressives at all for, sucking it up and showing up to vote for Joe Biden. And maybe we shouldn't have done that, but listen, it was progressives and it was overwhelmingly minority voters who actually showed up and put Joe Biden in the White House. So the idea that you wouldn't have an obligation to those voters in the progressive wing of this party, and not even the progressive wing of this party, but the overwhelming majority of the American people, okay? We see it in the polling data here. Meghan McCain was just completely fucking making it up, okay? 66% of the American people, including, again, 61% of those independents and 39% of Republicans, okay? So even almost a majority of Republicans and a vast majority of independent voters that she's talking about here support the plan. So listen, the entire diatribe that she just went on right there was completely fabricated and made up. And not only did MSNBC, not only did Chuck Todd, this massive massive cuck, Chuck Todd, not only did he, we should call him that actually, we should call him Cuck Chuck or something like that. But anyways, Cuck Chuck Todd had absolutely no pushback whatsoever to the lies that she was putting there. Not only was there no pushback, but they promoted this in a tweet. They promoted this quote on their official Twitter account as if it was real. Quote, Biden ran and won with the help of independent centrists, those same independent centrists that overwhelmingly support this bill. Ran with the support of independent centrists. The Build Back Better agenda is the most progressive modern agenda of all time, of up to $5 trillion, and it's not polling well. Well, again, just a complete fabricated and utter lie. That $5 trillion crazy radical socialist spending bill that you're talking about there is, again, overwhelmingly supported by independents and almost a majority of Republicans and a vast majority of the American people. So Meghan McCain is obviously a liar, and I would have said something to her, but unfortunately I am blocked. As you can see here on Twitter, Meghan McCain obviously doesn't like that I make videos like this and show she felt the need to block me, but nonetheless we're going to continue doing it. And in order to get access to her tweets, I had to go through this raw story article here, but as you can see, this is basically the response that she had on Twitter to getting called out for these lies. And listen, I absolutely despise Jennifer Rubin. I think she also blocks me on Twitter, so I don't have to hear her takes anymore, but Jennifer Rubin was accurately pointing out that what she was saying in this interview said, this is false, it is polling well, why are you letting her come on and lie? And here's what Meghan McCain had to respond. Okay, so we just covered all the substance, right? Completely wrong on the polling data, just straight up on the polling data. This is verifiable facts that we can actually go and check. She's completely wrong on them. And so what does she say? She says Joe Biden is his agenda. A president's polls means something, that the American people aren't happy how he's governing or his agenda. Also, if Dems plan to buy off American voters, they'd better come up with a solution to the inflation that is raising prices for everyone. Okay, so first of all, Joe Biden is his agenda. Okay, I kind of get that. But a president's polls mean that the American people aren't happy with how he's governing or his agenda. The overall question of whether people support Joe Biden, because people may have a disagreement with his immigration policies. They might have a disagreement with how he handled the Afghanistan withdrawal, right? There are a million different reasons why Joe Biden's overall polling numbers would be lower than polling on a specific policy initiative. This is not complicated, okay? Either she doesn't understand that, or she's a complete fucking idiot. And I'm inclined to believe that it's the latter, okay? Again, this is Meghan, my father McCain, McCain, right? Okay? She has spent her entire career putting herself in positions by relying on her daddy's name, okay? That's the reality of the situation. So it's not surprising that she would not know what the fuck she's talking about. But again, just complete nonsense saying that because Joe Biden's overall polling numbers are lower, that means somehow that this polling data is completely irrelevant on this specific policy question that you were just talking about. So again, just completely vapid and stupid. But she continued saying, if Dems' plan is to buy off Americans, I'm guessing she means buy off Americans by like giving us free community college or, helping parents to pay for child care, etc. That's what she's talking about, lowering prescription drug prices. That's buying off the American people, apparently. No, that's literally delivering on what the American people elected you to go do, okay? Democrats ran on these policies. Joe Biden ran on these policies. That's why he won the fucking election, okay? This is what voters asked you to do. That's what you got to go and do, all right? Again, the overwhelming majority of the American people support this agenda, all right? So she's just completely wrong top to bottom, but yet again, not anything surprising coming from Meghan, my father McCain. She has nothing of substance to say, and not only should she not be getting invited on any of these news shows, but if you're going to invite her, come on, Chuck. I mean, you gotta at least fact check her on a single goddamn thing. It's just completely pathetic, and it's weak, but it shows you exactly where our media is at right now. As this bill is continuing to be negotiated, they are allowing people like Meghan McCain to come on and just straight up lie about it.